So in the month of May, I managed to read 9 books in total. There were some sci-fi fantasy books, there were some mystery thriller books. So in this video, I'm going to tell you which books did I read in the month of May. And I'm going to give you brief spoiler-free summary and brief review and my ratings for all those 9 books. Fortunately, due to the ongoing pandemic and the current lockdown, I couldn't buy physical copies of any of these books. So I had to buy copies mostly on Kindle or audiobook copies on Audible or Storytel. Without wasting time, let's look at the first book that I bought in the month of May, and it's called Arsenic and Adobo. So Arsenic and Adobo is a very cozy, chill mystery thriller by an author called Mia P. Manansala. It's a debut novel and it doesn't feel like it's a debut novel. We meet the main protagonist Leela Macapagal and her family, her friends, and she's staying in this small town called Shady Palms, and there's a mystery surrounding there. We slowly unravel this mystery and there is a lot of food involved. So I'll strongly advise this book if you are looking for something very chill, very breezy to read through, then this is the perfect book. I've already done the review on this channel. You will find the link in the description below, and I've given it 4 out of 5 stars. The second book that I read in this month is a book called Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. After The Martian and Artemis, this is basically the third book by author Andy Weir, and this is a hardcore science fiction book. There is a lot of science involved. There is an adventure. You basically go outside this galaxy and you have to save not only the Earth, you have to save the whole galaxy from exploding. And you made this friend over there, and the bond that they share, journey that they go on, and the end is absolutely brilliant. It's a must read for any science fiction lover, and I've already done the review on this channel. I've given it 4.5 out of 5 stars, and it's a must read. Book number 3 in my May month reading list is one of the most popular books in the universe. It's the last book right now from the Song of Ice and Fire book series, and it's called A Dance with Dragons. What more can be said about this book? It's the 5th book in the Song of Ice and Fire series. George R.R. Martin has taken 10 years so far to come up with the next book, and he hasn't come up with it yet. But I feel it's going to come in this year, next year at max, maybe 2022 or 23. So I had to read the whole series. I've seen the Game of Thrones show, but I've never read the book series. So I've started it from I think last December, and finally I reached the 5th book in the series this month, and I managed to finish it. It's not as good as the first 3 books, but I think it's better than the 4th book, especially the end part of the book. And I think spoilers is no more spoilers for Game of Thrones. So the way Jon Snow ends and the cliffhanger, and I can't imagine how for 10 years book readers have waited to know what happens to Jon Snow in future. I'm also waiting. Let's see when Winds of Winter comes. But this is absolutely a 5-star read. Book number 4 in the May month reading list is one of the most evergreen books that is there, and it's called The Sign of 4 by Arthur Conan Doyle. The Sign of 4 is basically book number 2 in the Sherlock Holmes series, and technically I didn't buy this book individually. I bought the whole Sherlock Holmes collection on the Audible, and it's done by Stephen Fry. It's amazing. I think it's the best collection that is there for Sherlock Holmes series. And I managed to listen to the second book in the series, The Sign of 4. It's basically the early part of Sherlock Holmes, so the stories are not that well rounded, I will say. Still there is a mystery there, and something happens in India, and then the murder actually takes place in London, and then Sherlock Holmes manages to unravel the mystery as he always does. I don't think I need to say a lot more about this book. It was a fantastic read. Still, I don't say it's the peak of Sherlock Holmes yet, so I will give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. But Arthur Conan Doyle, respect sir. Book number 5 in my May month reading list is probably the best fantasy book so far in the year 2021, and it's called The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. Shadow of the Gods is the first book in the Blood Swan saga, and John Gwynne has come up with a new series after his massively successful The Faithful and the Fallen series. I'm yet to read that, but I managed to read this book and it absolutely blew my mind. It's amazing. This book is heavily based on Norse mythology, and the main three characters that are there, Orca, Elvar and Vag, all three are fantastic characters. I think Orca is one of the early nominees for the best character of the 2021 year. So this book is basically about the journey of our three main characters towards North for various reasons. One is for vengeance, the other one is for fulfilling an oath, and the third one is about proving herself to the world. And there are magical elements, there are trolls, and there is a lot of action scenes. I think it's one of the best action book also of the year. And I have already done the review on this channel. You will find the link in the description. John Gwynne has some serious thing going on here, and like I said in that video, that if you are looking for a full course fantasy meal, this is a perfect appetizer to start with. And I'm looking forward to the next book. 4.5 out of 5 stars. Book number 6 that I read in the month of May is a small novella. It's set in the same universe of Westeros. It's called The Hedge Knight. So The Hedge Knight is basically the first book of the Dunk and Egg series, which is a short story series and set in the same universe of Westeros by George R.R. Martin. This happens 100 years or 90 years prior to the actual start of Game of Thrones book. So this book is about the two characters, Dunk and Egg. Dunk, who has recently been elevated as a knight, and Egg, who wants to be squire to this knight. And Dunk doesn't know who this Egg is. Egg is one of the more iconic characters of the Game of Thrones, or has been referenced in Game of Thrones a lot. And the chemistry between them is fantastic. The story is also very fun. It's a very fascinating to read a short novella set in Westeros, where we know that all the books are 1,000 pages and the stories are long, detailed and intricate. So this is a very nice short story. It's about a tournament that is going to happen and what happens before that or because of that. And two beautiful characters, fascinating characters. I think I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Let's move on to book number 7 in my May month reading list, and it's a book that I recently finished reading. It's a book called Threadneedle by Carrie Thomas. This is another debut novel that I read in this month. Like I said, it's by Carrie Thomas and it falls under the fantasy genre. It's set in London, and there are some similarities with the Harry Potter book series. So when I say that this book is somewhat similar to the Harry Potter books, what I mean is that there are witches in these books who are basically the ones with the magical powers, and there are covens in this book who are basically the muggles. They can't do magic, and these covens don't know that magic exists in their world, but are they slowly discovering that there is magic in this world? There are witches, there is some dark magic that is going on. Are they discovering that? And there is a bigger narrative that is there, that there are some hunters who are basically the bad guys, and they are going to come and take over the world or destroy the world. But we don't know much about that. Anna is staying with her aunt, and this aunt doesn't want Anna to practice her magical skills. She feels her magic is cursed and magic is the end of this world. So that's why this aunt is going to bind the magical powers of Anna once she turns 16. And she has this 1 year to decide whether she wants to take that plunge or whether she feels that binding her powers is the right thing to do. Along with this magical storylines, there is Anna's high school stories also. She has her friends, she has her group, and this high school storyline is something that I didn't enjoy that much. But the magical storyline, the bigger narrative and the suspense that is continuously going on regarding the murder of her parents and what her aunt is trying to do, what Anna is going to do, that all is worth reading this book. I'll give it a 4 out of 5 stars to Threadneedle. The second last book that I read in the month of May is a book called The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. The Blade Itself is the first book in the First Law series out of the 8 books that have already been released. 9th book called The Wisdom of Crowd is going to come in the month of September. So my plan is to be ready with the whole series, complete the backlog and be ready for the 9th book. So I have to read 8 books before the month of September. I've started with the first book, The Blade Itself, and this book basically falls under the grim dark genre. Those who don't know what grim dark genre is, I think the Song of Ice and Fire is the best example for grimdark genre. The Blade itself is one of the best character-driven storybook that I have read so far, and this book primarily focuses on three characters: Giselle Dan Luther, Sandan Glokta, and Logan Nine Fingers. Logan Nine Fingers is this barbarian, battle-hardened, hard-to-kill person who has come from north. He's kind of the outsider, and he's trying to get used to how the normal city functions, and he's one of the best characters I have read. Then there is Sandan Glokta. He's the insider, he's always with the law, he's the inquisitor, he's kind of like the self-aware Sherlock of this book, of this world, and he asks questions, he finds the culprit, and he punishes them. Last one is Giselle Dan Luther. He is the pompous, self-centered guy who is privileged, has everything that he wants in life, and slowly he's coming to the terms how the actual world works. He's trying to win a battle, and for that he decides not to work hard at first, but then slowly realizes that he has to, and then he's really good at it. Later he finds out. These three main characters meet a guy called Bias, who's the first of the Magi, and he's basically the magician of this world. He's unreliable, he brings the surprise element, he drives the plot forward, and this book primarily focuses on the characters so much that the plot is hardly moving forward. So if you are one of those who really like to read a lot of plot driven storylines, then you will probably not enjoy this book. But if you are looking into a deep dive into characters, and then this book is certainly worth read. I have given it 4.5 out of 5 stars. And to follow the brilliant introduction to this first law world, the last book that I read in the month of May was the second book in the series, called Before They Are Hanged. Like I said, it's again a book by Joe Abercrombie, the second book in the First Law series, and this book basically furthers the storyline that is going on here. I can't reveal too much because there will be a lot of spoilers. This book clearly focuses not only on the characters but also on the plot. The story moves forward. There is a lot of exploration, but it's a fun exploration. With these three main characters, there are other characters that are also introduced. They were there in the first book, but we get to know more about them, such as Colonel West, and then the group of Northmen involving Dogman and Three Trees and others. So if I have to rate this book, I will give it another 4.5 out of 5 stars. The two books from the First Law series gets 9 out of 10 stars, and I am very excited to read the last book from the first trilogy of this First Law series. It's called The Last Argument of Kings, and I already like the title. These were the 9 books that I read in the month of May, and I think I really enjoyed every single one of them. There wasn't a single book that I felt like, oh, it wasn't worth putting so much time. So I really had a great time. I'm excited to read more books in the month of June. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like the video, leave a comment whether you have read any of these books, and subscribe to the channel for more such videos. Till then, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you after your next read.